With the release of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, we finally got to see the awakening of Ganondorf unfold right before our eyes, which we were first introduced to back in 2019 with the game's initial teaser, back when it was merely known as the sequel to Breath of the Wild. However, when playing through the start of the game and actually exploring the caverns beneath Hyrule Castle, we realize how different they are when compared to the teaser, almost feeling like a completely different location, and events that played out in the trailer simply don't happen in Tears of the Kingdom. So, let's look back at the initial 2019 teaser for Tears of the Kingdom and compare it to the final release of the game. The final game begins with Link and Zelda having been descending for a while on foot, but that's not what the first teaser showed us. Instead, Link and Zelda are seen descending into the caverns, riding atop a creature we now know is called a Don-Don, found in a final game in the Faron region. A bit further ahead in the trailer, we see the entrance of a large temple structure with a descending staircase. I feel that this is the original entrance to the caverns found beneath Hyrule Castle. This could have then been followed by the shot where Zelda and Link, atop a Don-Don, pass through a narrow path where a large stone wall can be seen, which is not anywhere in the final version of the Forgotten Foundation beneath Hyrule Castle. The way from the entrance to the imprisoning chamber could have been very long early on in development. This shot of the large bridge where we see Zelda and Link struggling to take the Don-Don across is not seen anywhere either. However, when we explore the caverns beneath Hyrule Castle later in the game, we find this broken bridge rooms before the location explored at the start of the game, in a cavern adorned with stones glowing in the same green light as luminous stones. This could be the same place, with the location having been drastically changed during development. This means that this latest shot of the Don-Don drinking water must have been after the shot of the bridge, in the same cave we see at the very start of the game. This shot of gloom spreading and consuming a rat is also nowhere to be found in the game, but given the free nature of the gloom, it must have been after Ganondorf's awakening. Another shot that is not seen in the final game is this one of Link reaching for Zelda to pull her up to a higher elevation. Given that there is no gloom particles, this must be before they encountered the mummified Ganondorf. We then see a shot of Zelda holding her torch as she inspects something, which we later see is this mural of Ganondorf on horseback. The equivalent to this in the final game is the cutscene where Zelda inspects the frescoes detailing the imprisoning war. However, the details were completely changed in the final game. In that first shot, we can see that Link is standing to the left of Zelda in the initial teaser, while he is to the right of her in the final game. But most significantly, the mural and frescoes of the final game depict very different events, with the frescoes of the final game detailing Ganondorf murdering Sonia and stealing her secret stone, and later Ganondorf, now as the Demon King, leading legions of monsters into battle against the ancient Hylians. The mural of the initial teaser instead shows Ganondorf in his Gerudo Chief form, given the ponytail he's seen with in the final game, on horseback charging into battle with all the Gerudo warriors, wielding a trident that is nowhere to be seen in the final game, with Ganondorf instead wielding a gloom sword, gloom spear, gloom club, and a gloom bow. The only shot we see of Ganondorf on horseback is when he is charging into battle with his horde of demons atop a demon horse, only seen in that unique cutscene. We do see Ganondorf with his loyal Gerudo subjects in other cutscenes, but nowhere do we see them riding on horses into battle. We then see a shot of the imprisoning chamber, with Ganondorf being sealed away by Rauru's right arm on the central platform. This shot, as well as all other shots seen in the trailer of the sealed Ganondorf, are not seen at all in the final released game. Instead, we see shots that are very reminiscent, but still very different to the ones seen in the trailer. This shot of Link and Zelda approaching Ganondorf is also changed significantly, with Zelda being the one holding the torch rather than Link. Link's design also underwent a slight change, with the Hylian hood that we saw him wearing in the trailers being removed in the final game's intro sequence. When comparing the hand, we notice that the jewelry has also undergone changes in its overall shape, having a cleaner design. Rings were later added to each finger for each of the sage's powers, as well as Rauru's secret stone etched into the center of the hand. While Ganondorf's design remains the same in the final game, the main difference to his design is his jewel, being a round golden jewel in the teaser, and later being a secret stone in the final game. This shadowy shot of Ganondorf being sealed by Rauru is also not seen in the final game. Instead, we get to see the actual event play out, but nothing of the sort is seen at the beginning of the game. It seems that back then, they had a rough idea what the story was about, but key details such as the sage powers or the secret stones were probably not set in stone at this stage of development. The imprisoning chamber has also gone significant changes when compared to the final game. The texture of the platform Ganondorf stands on is much smoother in this teaser, having veiny Sonai patterns in the final version of the game, present in most Sonai architecture. The rocks protruding from the walls, rather than being similar to those found in the depths of the final game, are of Sonai construction instead, and the bottom of the ceiling pillar connecting the chamber to the castle has also been changed to be of a simpler design. The awakening of Ganondorf has also undergone quite a few changes. The overall lighting of the first teaser is more reddish in color, instead of the darker tone it has in the final game. This shot of Ganondorf's hand twitching as Zelda looks at it is not seen in the final game. Instead, the shot focuses on Ganondorf completely. However, the initial teaser is consistent with the final game in the fact that she is holding the torch. So, at some point after arriving in the imprisoning chamber with Link holding the torch, Link may have handed it to Zelda to be ready to use the Master Sword if needed be. This exchange is done earlier in the game after Zelda examines the frescoes. Similarly, this shot of Zelda turning around startled is nowhere to be seen. The closest shot to that being when the Master Sword is shattered by Ganondorf's gloom. This appears to be a completely cut sequence. Ganondorf's head turn remains for the most part quite consistent in terms of animation and the shot itself, the key differences being the lighting, as well as the aforementioned jewel being changed for the secret stone.
Nothing of my monologue is seen in the trailer, but we do catch glimpses of some events that do transpire in the final game.
First, we see this shot of gloom being ejected into the ceiling, which is seen, albeit significantly changed, in the final game after Ganondorf speaks to Link and Zelda. This then leads to Hyrule Castle Rising. Then, we see a shot of Zelda's feet as the floor crumbles under her following Ganondorf's gloom ejection, the angle of the shot being almost completely inversed. Then, we see a shot of Zelda falling, but rather than Zelda being the one holding the torch, it is Link, who does not have his arm corrupted by gloom, or a decayed Master Sword. Either this was a way different sequence of events, or they intentionally made changes to the scene as misdirection for the trailer. Following Zelda falling in the final game, Link leaps after Zelda in an attempt to catch her, but is caught by Rauru's arm, with a shot very similar to that of the final game being seen in the first teaser. The strange thing, however, is that while this shot is consistent with the story of the final game, we then have another shot that is not consistent whatsoever. This shot of Link absorbing the green arm into his right arm. This to me is either a misdirection, as it is remarkably similar to the shots of Link being attacked by Ganondorf's gloom with an almost identical pose, or Link for some reason touched the green hand and his arm absorbed its energy, breaking the seal. The shot of Hyrule Castle rising in the first teaser is also changed dramatically in the final game, as the one we saw in the initial teaser is during the daytime and from very far away, while in the final game it is from up close with cloudy skies. So, given what we know from the game's story now, let's attempt to piece together the original sequence of events. Link and Zelda find a large entrance belonging to the Sona civilization deep underground. Illuminated by torches, Link escorts Zelda riding atop a Dondon as they head deeper into the caverns, finding ancient ruins of the mysterious Sona civilization. As they venture deeper, Link and Zelda struggle to pull the Dondon through the large Sona bridge, perhaps as it senses something awful is ahead. Regardless, they succeed and make their way to the Forgotten Foundation. The Dondon, Link and Zelda rest up in the Forgotten Foundation, drinking water from the small pond as they prepare to head deeper into the caverns. Finding the path continues at a higher elevation, they find themselves at a dead end. Link climbs to the top ledge and aids Zelda in climbing up, leaving the Dondon behind. This also leaves them with a single torch. Now on foot, Link and Zelda soon uncover ancient wall murals illustrating an ancient war. One of these murals depicts a Gerudo male, charging into battle atop a horse while wielding a trident, leading several horseback Gerudo warriors. Progressing deeper, Link and Zelda soon find the source of the gloom, the mummified corpse of Ganondorf, sealed away by a glowing green hand. A flash of bright light illuminates the room for a split second, revealing a literal flashback of the Demon King being sealed by Rauru during the imprisoning war. From this point, there are two possible scenarios. Option 1 is that Link touches the green hand and absorbs its energy. This causes the hand to lose its grip on Ganondorf and breaks the seal. Option 2 is that this is misdirection, and in truth it is a scene where Link is attacked by gloom. The hand that sealed Ganondorf then falls to the ground, and Ganondorf's hand begins to twitch as he regains his strength. Ganondorf attempts to stand, but falls backward, turning his head towards the princess and the hero. If option 1 was the case, Ganondorf perhaps does not attack Link and Zelda the way he does in the final game. If option 1 does not happen and it is misdirection, then Ganondorf does attack Link like in the final game. After addressing Link and Zelda, Ganondorf launches torrents of gloom to the ceiling of the imprisoning chamber. As the gloom spreads, an unfortunate mouse is consumed by the gloom and killed instantly. The torrents of gloom being ejected by Ganondorf raises Hyrule Castle to the sky. The ground then crumbles and Ganondorf falls to the depths. The ground beneath Zelda's feet begins to crumble soon after, and Zelda falls into the dark depths as well. Link jumps after Zelda, attempting to catch her, but is grabbed by the Green Hand and taken to safety. From what we see, the intro sequence had no involvement of secret stones, which could have meant that Zelda may have ended up in the depths of Hyrule, perhaps being captured by Ganondorf, or with her own separate adventure. And then the story changed with the inclusion of the secret stones to having her travel back in time. This may be what this shot indicates: Zelda deep in the gloom's lair, being startled by the freed mummified Ganondorf. And what happens after that is anyone's guess. And that is the comparison between the initial trailer and the final game. Do you like the final version of the intro we had? Or would you have liked this alternate take? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to get notified of future uploads. Also, consider following me on Twitter and Instagram to stay in touch. This has been Solo Lore, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.